Hello! Okay, this is another video here on YouTube. First of all, we're going to show you the 486 that we have been showing you for a long time. Now, I have a few of these 486s, as I've mentioned before, so it allows me to do different things with them and experiment with different operating systems. What I've managed to do is I've managed to get Windows 2000 installed on this 486, and I've also had it booting up into Windows 2000. First of all, though, I just want to show people who have never seen it before, Windows NT 4. Windows NT 4 obviously came before Windows 2000. Windows 2000 is theoretically Windows NT 5, but at the stage of Windows 2000 being introduced, the name had been dropped, and the only sort of the only hint is that it says at the bottom when you're booting up Windows 2000 based on NT technology. So basically, Windows NT 4 is the last of the NT operating systems where they were separated. So you had Windows NT, and at the same time you had Windows, for example, you had Windows 95 and 98, and you had NT 4, and then basically you had Windows Millennium, which was a lovely operating system, and then you went to Windows 2000. Now, Windows 2000 is based on NT technology. It basically is a far better version of Windows NT 4. The reason why a lot of people still use NT4 is because a lot of software still runs on NT4. A lot of machines and machinery and CAD/CAM machines, that type of stuff, would rely on NT4 very, very heavily. So the support for Windows NT4 outstripped the support for Windows 98 and 95. Excuse me. One of the downsides of Windows NT4 is the DirectX support. The DirectX support is very poor, therefore a lot of games will not work with Windows NT. But a lot of people who've been installing Windows NT would not be installing it for games anyway, so that really doesn't matter, one of the problems I have with Windows NT is that I can't install a sound card. I have a sound card in the machine, alright, but it tells me that it's clashing with another device on the system. I have installed it in DOS, and that's been no problem. The only card I can think of that might be clashing with is a SCSI card, but that doesn't seem to be the problem. It seems to be clashing with something, I don't know what. But I have installed the video card on this. I managed to do that alright. Those errors are coming up because the network is currently off. That's why they're coming up. I've managed to install the video card drivers. The video card on this computer is the ATI Mach 64, or Mach, or Much, whatever you want to call it. The ATI card, I'll show you here, look. So you can speak over now. You ready? This is the video card. VLB version. Okay, VESA local bus version, VLB. Okay, 0, because it is a 486. Yeah, you can do that. So, how I managed to get Windows 2000 installed on the 486 was basically I installed Windows NT version 4. Running this operating system, I then simply installed the Windows 2000 disk. I'll show you now. Windows NT 4, Windows 95, Windows Pro, Windows 98, Windows Pro, yeah, well. So basically this is all I've done. Stuck the CD in the drive, and it popped up a little box saying, do you wish to upgrade? The version you are using is currently not the most current. There you are, see? So I just pressed yes, and away it went, and it installed it. The other trick as well was let me show you the other trick to get Windows 2000 to install on the 486. One of the problems is you can boot up from DOS alright with floppy disks. I'll show you how now. First of all, I'll show you that. Hold on, let's get all back all of this. Okay, first of all. Now, explore. On the Windows 2000 disk, if you want to install a clean version, and your computer doesn't support booting from a CD-ROM drive with the BIOS, get a machine like Windows NT or Windows 2000 or Windows XP. It works for as well, I noticed. Go into the folder on the Windows 2000 software disk and double click on Make Boot. This will basically create a set of boot disks for the Windows 2000 operating system. And what I'm doing is I want to update the ones I have aren't working properly. I get this one of the disks and it seems to jam, so I might as well update them while I'm doing this. If we can find the floppy disk. around when you need it. So basically, what I done was I installed Windows 2000 from DOS. Now again, of course, there isn't CD-ROM drive on this computer, so I had to basically do the same thing with the Windows NT disk and run the Make Boot Disk program. And that allowed me to create a set of floppy disks, a set of 3 floppy disks in the case of NT4. I then could boot from the floppy disks and install the operating system. Let me say now, with this done, what I done next was I have 2 hard drives installed on the computer. I have a C drive and a D drive. The C drive is an ATA or IDE, when I've used that term, hard drive. So what I done there was I installed DOS on that. So first thing I done was boot up the computer, went into the BIOS, I set up the BIOS to accept a hard drive, and that hard drive I then used to install DOS on it. Once that was done, which I didn't have to do that, once that was done, then I went ahead and installed a SCSI card, a 50-pin SCSI card. The 50-pin SCSI card, I then connected a 2 gig hard drive to it, and then what I done then was I booted up the computer again using the NT4 disk. But when I was booting up from that, obviously it asked me which partition I wanted to install on, and I decided to let it install on the D drive. Now, what I have done here is the C drive is still a FAT32, because the problem is that the operating system doesn't understand NTFS. If I convert it to NTFS, it doesn't understand it and it doesn't do anything. So the first thing it does is reads that CD-ROM drive, reads this little thing here called boot, and then automatically then transfers over to the D drive. The D drive, of course, is in NTFS format, so it makes things a lot easier. Now I'm going to show you that now in a bit more detail. We'll let this go first. Yeah, go on. It's got to create these discs anyway. The set I have aren't working right, so I kept the disc 3 and it just would die. So okay, so NT4. If you haven't seen NT4, let me show you. The control panel, as you would know it from the likes of Windows 95 or 98, you'll recognise this and go, oh yeah, I recognise that. SCSI adapters. Okay, so there you are. So that's the main hard drive. So that's basically the ATA controller with the main hard drive and a CD-ROM drive. So basically there, that's FAT formatted, and that's obviously the CD-ROM drive which contains the operating system. The FAT format I done because, as I mentioned already, the computer's BIOS doesn't understand NTFS. If I try to boot from an NTFS partition, the machine doesn't do anything. It just locks up. So what I had done then was, once I installed DOS on that partition, and I went ahead then and I installed the NTFS operating system, so the NT operating system, using the NTFS file system on this hard drive. So it was one way to do it, to make it work on a 486, because what I wanted to do was, I wanted to be able to install an operating system on a 486 genuinely from the DOS prompt, as if it were. Whereas if I had done it like some other people done by using, like, you know, a more modern computer, it wouldn't necessarily be genuine or true. Okay, this is the third disc I'm putting in, the third disc. So the third disc, 33 the third. I've done that joke already. Okay, so now in here we have devices. If you want to add another sound card to the computer, you can do it this way: add and blah 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 blah. Away you go. Say yes to that. You can add it. That's because I haven't got the network installed. Hold on, I'll just turn the network on so that doesn't keep popping up, because that's not a fault in NT. That's my fault. There we are, network's on now. It shouldn't give that error anymore. So basically, what we have is you can add in here another sound card. There you are, there, top one. Unlist or updated driver. Okay, I'll show you the error I'm getting. Hold on. The error of my ways. It's telling me the where did I put it? Luminar. I'll put it down here. It's there. Put it in the C drive. I'll press OK, and then I pick the bottom one. Let me go with the new driver. Let's just pick a port, which is set to 220 at the moment. I'll try 280 so it helps continue. Another part of the system. 260. Another part of the system. 240. Another part of the system. and 220. Another part of the system. So the only thing I can think of is I'm going to see if there's a jumper configuration on the actual sound card. Maybe I can force it into another mode or something, and I can't seem to get any joy. But I'll tell you that a sound card anyway. It's fairly straightforward. And to add a display driver, it's the same thing really. It's not very hard to do. The difference you will find with Windows NT compared to Windows 95 is that if you go into System, there's no device manager. See? No device manager. This allows you to choose what you want it to start up automatically. Okay, you can say no, don't show the list, so you can make this number here higher or lower. You can also then choose which one of these wants to boot up to automatically once this timeout has elapsed, which is quite handy. So you could in theory set that to MS-DOS. That way then when it times out it goes to DOS automatically, or if you choose NT it goes to NT automatically or whatever. You don't have to, because the menu is going to come up. You're obviously going to be sitting in front of the machine when the menu comes up anyway. So it'll let you go from there. I'm going to show you now in a second physically how I've done this. And then we will make another video and we'll show you Windows 2000 booting up. So the problem I have in Windows NT is I can't get the sound card working. That's my problem. I will fix that. I will get to the end of that. I reckon it's a jumper configuration. If you're new to computers, you won't know what the hell a jumper is. A jumper is not something you wear. Well, it is, but not the case of computer. This is a jumper. This little thing here. This is a jumper. And basically, when you were... Good God in heaven. I'll put it within my little... Hold on. You can't see that. My God in heaven. There's German for my God in heaven. So there you are, right? There. Now, contrast. That little thing there is a jumper. A configuration jumper. So let me show you now on a little... you probably see them on hard drives. If you've ever installed a hard drive, surely you've put a hard drive in. There'll be a little jumper, a little setting, which will basically, you can put that jumper on, take it off, and it'll make differences like IP address and stuff like that. So here's a Yamaha sound card, for example. And on the Yamaha sound card here, we had two little jumpers. Now this, I don't know what they are now offhand, but these two little jumpers here now, for example, could be for setting the IRQ address, DMA address, and so on and so forth. So what it'll allow you to do is, if you change the jumper, it'll give you another setting. Because computers of this vintage don't have what's known as plug and play. So in theory you can install everything on the motherboard that have the same IP address, not IP address, port, and it'll automatically configure it, automatically swap them out and so on. You also have all the same IRQ address, and it doesn't matter with a plug and play machine. With a machine of this vintage you have to make sure that everything is individual. There's certain IRQ ports that can be shared and certain IRQ ports that cannot be shared. And so it's a bit of a minefield, it's a bit difficult to set it up. So anyway, that's them discs set up, so we'll have them there for later on, that's handy. Get that off there now. Shut that down. I'm going to show you physically in the machine what I have done to make this work. I'm just going to remove one component actually, because I don't want, well, it's not that I don't want you to see it, but if you see it you may be distracted by it. It's just another hard drive, but it's kind of in the way. So we'll take it out of the way. Do that now. It's now safe to turn off your computer. Now screwing something while the computer's on. That's not a good idea probably. You see smoke coming out, it all blown up and I'm dead. Actually, if that happens, it won't matter because I won't be doing the video, will I? Hello, my friend, hello. Right, okay, so we shall go al fresco. Okie dokie, let's zoom out there, we're a bit zoomed in. Okay, that is what you will call a spaghetti junction. Okay, so what we have is we have the hard drive. This hard drive is configured, I have NT486 on. This hard drive basically is configured to run the Microsoft DOS. Now the Microsoft DOS operating system I installed in this hard drive first, because as I said already, the BIOS cannot understand an NTFS partition. FAT, file allocation table, is a type of partitioning software. It sets out the cluster size and so on, the sector size, cluster size, and how the hard drive actually is configured. On the NTFS hard drive, which is this one here, it's on a SCSI port. So I'm using the SCSI card down here. That allows me to have an NTFS partition on this computer, otherwise I couldn't have one, because the BIOS does not understand basically this translation of FAT. It does understand NTFS. This is the BIOS here. This is the trouble. There probably is an update for this. This is version 2. There probably is an update for this, but I can't find it and never could. The other card we have here beside you is the network card from 3Com, and then we have the Creative Lab sound card. Again, there's those jumpers there, you see. So I'll just zoom in on them just to show you. Probably too much, just a little bit back. So basically this jumper here now, for example, is set to tell the card that there's memory installed. So to recap, to get the Windows 2000 software installed, or even the NT software installed, I had to install a hard drive with a FAT allocation table. Now I can install Windows NT directly onto this IDE drive. That's okay, that can be done, providing I use the FAT file system. The problem there, of course, is if you're going to run NT of any description, you're better off using the NTFS, because it's better, it's faster, it's more efficient, and so on, and it's more secure. So, you know, why use this if you can use the NTFS? So I was thinking, well, I want to use NTFS, how can I do it? So as again, just to make sure you got this hard drive was installed, set up in the BIOS, and then I installed this hard drive using a separate SCSI card, and then we went ahead and we installed the operating system, and it all works. Now, what I'm going to do next is I'm going to put the Windows 2000 disk in, and that will allow us then to boot up into the Windows 2000 operating system. I had to make a separate hard drive, so I've got 2 more SCSI hard drives. The reason being is when I changed the video card, which is it's hidden in there. That's the ATI Mac 64 there, by the way. It's fairly hidden. I think I showed it in another video. Maybe I didn't. I don't know. Can't remember. But the ATI Mac video card that's in there, as soon as I install that, there seems to be problems with Windows NT. So I don't know. I'll probably have to reconfigure it or do something silly or go into VGA mode or something. But it won't let me. It just keeps crashing. So I actually now have to go and put in the 2 hard drives from the SCSI, and then we're going to boot up into Windows 2000. We're going to do this in real time, so you get to see a 486 DX2 66 with 64 megs of RAM booting up into Windows 2000, and I installed it using this machine. So thanks for watching, and come back and watch the second video, which will just be literally me booting into Windows 2000. So enjoy, and I'll see you in a minute. Hello, and here we have the 486 computer we used in previous videos, the one for Ribbon example, running Windows 2000 Professional. While this is counting down here, we could press enter of course. While it's counting down, I'm just going to give you a quick spec on the computer. The video card is the ATI 64 with 2 megs of RAM. It's in VLB mode. The processor is a single 486 DX2 66. The hard drives in this computer, there's one hard drive that's a 2 gig, and the other hard drive I have is a 4 gig. And the reason why I have 2 hard drives is to install the Windows 2000 required a bit of ingenuity to get installed on this 486 computer. One of the issues that I had was the NTFS file system, which is what I wanted to install. Wouldn't allow me to install it using the hard drive on the ATA bus. So I'll give you the example. I installed the Windows NT4 using the setup disks on the original hard drive that was in the machine, and what happened was, as soon as I installed NTFS file system, the computer could not recognise that and would refuse to boot. So what I was trying to do was I was trying to get the computer to boot into Windows NT but using the NTFS file system, and eventually I came up with the idea of installing a secondary SCSI hard drive. So what we have now is a computer that boots up using the DOS operating system, boots to that little menu you just saw there, and then I can choose then which one I want to boot into, whether it be NT4 or 2000. In this case it's chosen 2000. It then boots into 2000 on the SCSI hard drive, and also allows then the use of the NTFS file system. The difference, NTFS file system versus FAT, it's more secure, better for bigger hard drives and the like. Now, we've been going now for what, 2 minutes and 14 seconds so far, and this machine's been booting up into the operating system of Windows 2000. The RAM on this computer is 64 megabytes of RAM. Operating with Windows 2000, as you can see, and what we'll do is we will run the task manager, because one thing I noticed with one of the other videos I was looking at on YouTube on the 486 was the task manager was maxing out constantly on the computer at 100. So I did do it with this machine now a while back, and it was after a minute or two, when the machine had calmed down and installed and was running everything and it was happy, it was like ticking over just. So we'll show you in a second. We're now in total silence for the past 2 minutes. Let's run that task manager. Okay, so as I was saying, the reason why I couldn't install it was because of the actual file allocation system. I could install Windows NT 4 no problem on a massive hard drive using this computer, providing I stuck to the to the FAT file allocation system. As soon as I went to NTFS or tried to convert the drive, it would suddenly not boot anymore into the operating system. So basically, the way I done it was I installed Windows NT first on the SCSI hard drive, and then I installed a second SCSI hard drive. I booted into Windows NT 4. I inserted the Windows 2000 CD-ROM, and I then installed the operating system onto the third hard drive. So we now have the original ATA hard drive, a SCSI hard drive with Windows NT 4 on it, and another hard drive with Windows 2000 on it. At the moment I have the NT hard drive taken out of the computer simply because the SCSI cable that I had, it broke. So I only have a single cable now, whereas before I had a single cable with a few connections on it. This version here of Microsoft Office version 4.3 is the version I used in Windows 3.1. It was the first version of Microsoft Office that I had. After that, I used it in Windows 95, I used it in Windows 98, and this is actually the first one I've installed in Windows 2000, and it works fine. No crashings or breaks or anything like that. I should have stuck with it because at the time I went and purchased, what did I purchase? I had bought Microsoft Office 97. I've Office 2000. I skipped XP and I bought Office 2003, I think it was, yeah. And then I went from that then, 2003, I went to Office 2007. I've recently been playing around with one machine with Office 2010. It's a demonstration copy, which will expire probably today. But yeah, it's pretty good. I like the Office 2010 actually. It's got some nice features in 2010 compared to 2007. Now, as you can see here in this computer, we're still maxing out at 87 and 93% on the CPU. We're still fairly high. One thing I can't do on this computer is run DirectX diagnostics. I have tried to do that before. And now what's happened is it's basically crashed. I'll show you in the control panel what it says about the system in system properties, so you can have a look at what the actual physical system is. I know I've already mentioned it, but we've only got 64 megs of RAM here on this computer, so it's pretty much so maxed out. Let's get over to that. Let's tab over to that control panel. Minimise this for the moment. Exit that. I'm going to run the system. Now, one of the other problems I have is with the sound card. There's a sound card conflict between the sound card AWE32 from Creative Labs and the SCSI adapter card. I think that's where the conflict is. I had the same problem in Windows NT 4 with Service Pack 6. I was trying to install the sound card and I chose the channel of 220, which works in DOS but will not work in Windows. And I reckon the reason why it won't work in Windows is the conflict between the Creative Labs sound card and the SCSI adapter card. It's something I will rectify along the way, but you know, I just wanted to show you the basic machine. So as you can see there, we've got Windows 2000, Service Pack 4. It's an x86 family 4 model 3 stepping. Model 3 stepping 6. AT compatible and 64 megs of the finest RAM you can purchase. Hardware. Device manager. There'll be an error in here, I think, or should be, we'll do a look, outlining the fact that the sound card isn't working. Okay. Is it doing anything? I don't know. What's the task manager? It's still at 100. Look. Now you see the way it did drop down here? Do you see that? When it was doing nothing, it was idling alright. No, no, I'm hitting the word, but uh-oh. Get that out of memory now. I'm going to try to open Microsoft Word at the same time. This should be fun. Oh, there it is. Device Manager's open and Microsoft Word is now opening. Get that out of the way. See processes. Yeah, down there, you see it? That there is the toolbar, this thing here. And this one here is the actual Microsoft Word trying to open up. Now you see there's the error there, you see? And that's, from what I can gather, it's because of the conflict with the IRQ DMA. But I think it's just basically the port is matched up. So I'll fix it one of the days. I'll have to go through, I'll have to basically take some time doing it. That's just too much like work, it's not really fun, you know? So I hope you can see all this. There's your network card. I think I mentioned before in a previous video about making things compatible. The Freecom Etherlink 3 ISA card is a very good card because a lot of the operating systems support it straight out of the box. And what this basically means is that if you have, let's say for example, if that network card is working, as soon as the machine boots up into your operating system, it means you've got your external hard drive hopefully networked to your system. And what that will allow you to do is transfer from your mother computer directly over your external hard drive, and then from the external hard drive straight into your old vintage machine. And that has the added advantage of you not having to use floppy disks to install drivers and software. Of course, you'll need an operating system to run that. Windows for Workgroups will do the job, anything above that. You may have seen in one of my previous videos, if you look at one of them there, you'll see that what I had done was I had installed Microsoft DOS, and on top of that I installed Windows for Workgroups with the networking ability built in using TCP/IP. And the reason why I done that in that video was to allow the installation of some old software onto the machine, and therefore by doing that it allowed me to play around with you know, extra software I wanted to put onto it, or you know, install drivers I hadn't got. You know, if I tried to install drivers and install them from a floppy disk, or I may not have the floppy disks anymore, I seem to have lost a lot of them somewhere. So it's great to have the external hard drive and the ability to transfer over that data or the data to your vintage computer. And that's one nice way of doing it. I'm trying to open that. Yeah, get that out of the way. It doesn't actually tell you much about the SCSI adapter there. SCSI, SCSI, SCSI. SCSI, Small Computer System Interface, redundant array of individual disks or drives. It depends on what you want to say yourself, man. But basically, it's the same thing. And the way RAID works is very important if you're running a computer. Now, this is Microsoft Word. Woohoo! Word up. Let's see if it actually types without jumping. How's that? Chanel. Jeez, I can't spell. Forget that. Also, the other thing I tend to do when I'm typing is I keep putting capital letters in there. But you see that? Look, there's a Y there. It shouldn't be capital. A C on channel, which is spelled incorrectly, shouldn't be a capital either. See? See the spell check picks up, will we? Give that a lash for the crack. Oh, ABC, 1, 2, 3. No, ignore that one. Ugh. Yes. Now there you see 2 N's and 1 L. I put in 2 L's there a minute ago. That's Chanel we have there, as in Chanel number 5. We can add that to the list. Basically, one of the great things about this particular spell check in this particular version is if it doesn't know the word, you can just add it into the dictionary. And now, as time has went on, more words have been added into the dictionary, so this has become less and less relevant. But in the older one like this, just get a friend who can spell properly and put in words that you know are spelled correctly, add them to the dictionary, and then when it comes along then to getting them right, it'll at least give you that option. The disadvantage is the algorithm that it uses for spell checking really only works with words it actually already knows. So worms that it doesn't know the correct spelling to, it'll have difficulty with. It won't really suggest the proper answer. We say no to that. Let's see what the task manager looks like now. Performance. Let's see where it idles. Yeah, that's what I got before. About 24% is where I've seen it before idling. Today what we'll try to do with the crack, we'll run a screensaver. Let me see what happens. I'll kind of close this down. The task manager / system resource meter there also takes up system resources when it's running. Holy shit! OpenGL. Okay, let's try a different one. I think that's on Simplex there, I think. Pipes. Oh, Danny, but no, I'll start that. Oh, here we go. Here's 3D pipes on a 486. Come on, you know you want to work. How's that? Are you impressed yet or what, huh? People said it couldn't be done on a 486. Well, it's working. And it's a 66 DX. The guy who was running the other 486 video was using an SX. Now, just in case you don't know, you probably noticed by now, if you don't notice by now, You probably haven't watched too many videos here on YouTube because every man and his wife has probably told you. But basically, the 486 that he was using was an SX. So before that you had the 386, and you had an SX and a DX. The difference in the 386 and SX and DX was SX tended to be the 16 megahertz type of line, and the DX tended to be the 25 and 33 megahertz. So basically it was just a faster chip, but didn't have a MATS coprocessor. When it came to purchasing a MATS coprocessor, it was important to know which you had, whether it was an SX or a DX. It was okay to have the faster DX chip on an SX machine, it just runs slower, but if you had an SX chip on a DX machine, it wouldn't work properly because basically the main CPU would be running faster than the MATS coprocessor. So in other words, you basically had to match them, SX to SX and so on. So it would be known as the 087 SX. Now we come along to the 486. So the 486 SX was a silly idea where they decided to remove the MATS coprocessor out of the actual core of the chip. So to make that a DX or a 486 with a MATS coprocessor, you had to add the 486 DX chip. Now generally what in a lot of cases that done was it basically had the old DX chip and disabled it, and basically you were installing another 486 chip with the MATS coprocessor built in. Or what you can do yourself, you have an SX machine, chances are it'll take a DX chip, just take the SX out of it and put a DX in. No matter what you're running, if you're running 486 up, running a 486 chip, I recommend you have at least the DX line of chips, whether it be a 66 or a 100. Definitely go with the DX versions, don't go with the SX versions. After the 486s, basically every chip after that, the Pentium 75 and above, all had MATS coprocessors built in, and that makes a big difference when it comes to running basically most of the programs you want to run, like Excel and stuff like that, Okay, so now, next thing we're going to do, we're going to actually run that Excel. See how quick Excel runs now. Well, maybe I didn't put it in here. I put a bar chart up, I didn't put it in here probably. I think I put the bar chart in the Word. Ooh, I think I did. I have a funny feeling I did. It's doing nothing now, look, it's just sitting there like a big pie. Looks like Word version 6. Copyright 83 to 94. Yeah. I remember getting this. Excuse me. A bit of an itchy nose there. I remember getting this one. And basically, within like a couple of weeks, Windows 95 was released along with Microsoft Office 95, and I was kind of thinking to myself, oh, I don't believe it, But it worked anyway, so it didn't really matter, Okay. I was playing with this the last time. Now, okay, so that's basically Excel there now working. It's not Excel, Microsoft Word. No, I don't want to do that. So that's it. That's 21 minutes of your time wasted. So basically, what I'd like you to do now is to have a think about what you'd like me to run on this 486. That Excel is the jamming. Look at that. Is there anything in particular? Yeah. You'd like me to run or test on it using Windows 2000? Let me know. I'll see what I can do. There's one other thing actually. I'm going to see if it's here. There is a CPU tester that I have actually. It's an old one that might just work. I might just give us a little. I might just show you the actual CPU speed. Just give me 1 second now. I'll see if I can find it. See this list. But basically what I want you to do is to go off and have a think. If you want me to try out on this little machine, this little 486, have a little think about it. We'll give it a lash. But I just wanted to show you that it can be done. You can install Windows 2000 and a 486 and it can actually work. Now you could use it for the likes of Word or Excel. You couldn't use it for internet browsing, it just won't work. So don't ask me to do that, it doesn't work, it's painful. CPU info, this one here. I don't know whether I think I've CPU ID there as well. One of these didn't work, yeah. No, I want detailed help. It should be there. CPU. Intel CPU ID. I don't think that will work. That's not the one anyway. There is two on the Microsoft website for finding out if you're oh, what's the word for it? To see if your chip is being clocked. Basically what they used to do back in the day was to say a chip was running a certain speed, and the reason why they do it is so they can make more money. So Intel basically brought out a little thing on their website that allowed you to actually test and see if the CPU that you purchased was actually the CPU that you got, because it will actually tell you that this CPU is such and such. There it is there. This CPU is such and such a speed and such a type, and basically you haven't got that. You've got something else. And what they used to do is used to etch them off and scratch them off. You'll see if you do a search there on Yahoo, you'll see all different little examples of that where they've etched the actual thing off, you know, and they've decided to repaint a different speed on it. And that was just basically so they could make more cash. I don't think it happens nowadays. I certainly haven't seen it since the old days of the 486s, and even then I think I saw it once. It was literally shown to me, you know, physically. There it is, you know, as I was saying, it was wow, you know, amazing. You know? I should have kept the chip. I should have asked them for the chip so I could keep it, so I could show it to you now. But basically, the screen print on the chip, he had etched it off and put a faster number on it, and when he ran it in the machine, he managed to overclock the board somehow. And the board was reading it at a 133, it was really only a 120. And at the time, a 120 Pentium was a lot slower than a 133, but anyway, I don't want to read that. I don't know whether this worked. One of these worked alright in Windows 2000, but this probably won't work either. Let's see what happens. CPU ID. This is a good bit of software actually. You should download this off their website. It's a nice little bit of software. I actually found an error of one of my sticks of RAM with this. But what I mean by an error is the two sticks of RAM, it was DDR2 RAM, yeah. I always get these weird things happen with the machine now and then. I still have the machine, it's still running, but I kept getting these weird things happening. I just happened to run this then one day. Somebody had said something to me and I said, oh yeah. I knew the CPU was a Phenom triple core and 2 pieces of RAM and you were matched and that sort of stuff. Well, that's what I thought anyway. It turns out when I actually ran this piece of software, one of the sticks was made by Samsung and one of the sticks was made by Nvidia. But both sticks of RAM were manufactured by Penny Technologies, PNY. And the issue of course I had was the speed. So one of the chips was reading, you know, let's say 333 megahertz, but the other one was reading 223, something like that. I can't remember what the exact numbers were, right? But basically, the 2 sticks of RAM I was sold were supposed to be a fast piece of RAM, and only one of them actually was, and the other one was a slower piece. So of course, every time I clocked the machine up to the full speed that I was allowed to do, the machine would crash, and I could never figure out why, because both pieces of RAM were matched. And I never thought for a moment to test the RAM. I did test it with the Microsoft Memory Diagnostic, and I also tested it with a piece of software called what's it called, Micro 2000. But both of them had said that the RAM was fine and working. Neither of them had mentioned to me about the speed, but this did. So that's when I discovered, there we are, that's the reason for the speed. Because I noticed that I'd always end up clocking the RAM down to the slower speed and not the faster speed, and that was the reason why. But the hardware wasn't frozen, if that's what you're wondering. In this case here, it just seems to be taking its time. DMI, PCI. There's no PCI. Peripheral Control Interconnect, PCI. Updates. Feck you on your update. No thank you. Current version. Latest version. A fair bit out of alignment there I am. See now if it's running. Here we go. Genuine Intel inside. Now how's that now? Intel i486DX2 codename P24 socket 196 PGA. Now PGA stands for pin grid array. There you are. Intel i486DX2 family 4 model 3 and a stepping of 6 as you saw in the last one. It's got a single core and a single thread. And basically what threading is it allows the processor to do more things at the same time. Rather than wasting a cycle, and more information is put into that cycle to stop the cycle being wasted. If you want to know more about that, I'll explain it to you, but please request it. As you have memory 64, I can't really test that memory on these old boards. Not mentioning the graphics either, just saying about. Anyway, there's the CPU. Alright? Now we'll end it there. That's 30 minutes at this stage. So, really do hope you enjoyed yourselves. If you want to ask any questions, please do in the comments or email me directly using the YouTube emailing facility, and I will answer your questions for you with a video or with text or whatever way we have to do it. And thank you very, very much for watching this video. I hope you watched it to the end. Yeah, thanks a million. Really do appreciate it. See you later. Bye bye.